best.
It's okay.
It's fine.
We got Colin Butler here, and we want to get the business because this man's got like a mustache that says business.
Business mustache.
I actually got a little nervous because I don't have a Valentine's Day reservation because we went out to dinner in the city and just blew the budget on it and collectively decided that was Valentine's Day dinner.
Where'd you go?
We went to
That's a
Vintage.
trap.
We went to Vintage Wine Cellar
Ooh.
in the city. Yeah, for their restaurant week menu.
Ooh.
Yeah, it had some bone marrow.
Oh, okay.
It's good.
Yeah, it is good,
Bone
man.
marrow was good.
Bone marrow's a shit.
Like the little oyster mushrooms. in it.
Oh.
I feel like we should have one of those banners flash over, just be like, "This just in, bone marrow is good." I don't know the way he said it. It was just like I don't know.
Breaking news.
It
dude.
seemed like we staged it. Like Vintage Wine Barrel, reach out.
Dude.
Reach out. But also 86 West if you want to put it on the menu.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
I mean, 86 West has so many things on the menu. They might have that on the menu.
They probably do, man.
Yeah.
Tuna tartare is pretty good here.
It's
New
fun to
Year
say.
In the summer is a nice cocktail.
Oh.
Have we had the tartare? Is that just raw tuna?
Yeah, basically.
Some stuff in it.
Yeah.
Chopped up.
Next time we get that, I want to know that we get it so I can say tartare.
Tartare. Can I get the tartare?
Yeah. What if you said tartare but like said it like a tiger?
How
would
would
you
the
do
tiger
that?
say
Yeah.
it?
I don't know. But I can hear it in my head. How's it go?
Dude, I wish I was on your level right now.
I'm just having a good time.
Yeah, I know, but
Because he came in, I was straight business, I was answering text messages.
Yep, you were.
Now we turned on podcast mode. I think what did it for me, what got me to on the level, was making the sounds before the episode. That made me a little goofy.
Those are great.
Before that, I was, do yours. Yeah, you can never make anything better than that. That's a peak of your life right there.
I was on a win, though. You know what I'm saying?
You should submit it for Bucks Happening.
Yeah. Yeah, vote for me. Fucking.
Best baby in Bucks County.
Yeah, best sound in Bucks County, bro. So best soundboard is what we do.
Yeah, but sorry that I'm losing composure myself.
No, I love it, dude. I'm just saying I wish I was there with you.
Yeah.
You're having so much fun. I want to have more fun.
Yeah, I mean it's Wednesday. The week's not over, but it's been a week.
It's hump day.
It's starting to get kind of nice outside.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of nice and sunny in 29. Fuck with it.
Yo, it was a little warmer out today. I had
Was
to
it?
switch
It's probably like low 50s.
Was it low 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Holy
gonna
shit.
it's gonna hit the warmth at the end of the week.
I like it. Big
But
fan.
anyway, back to Colin.
Yeah, back to Colin, dude.
Back to Colin,
Back to business with Colin.
our resident physical therapist.
Yeah, dude.
Appreciate you guys inviting me on. I've been a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's sick. I love that.
The way he said it was even better. That's just gonna be the intro to the show.
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting off with heat, dog.
A close-up on the mustache.
Yeah.
I trimmed it up today just for you guys.
Oh, it's
Oh
nice.
no! Don't worry. At the end of the episode, we're gonna get you to look at the cameras a bunch of times so we can get the cover. So get your face ready. Think about who you want to be.
Dude, in the cover, you
I
should.
just want to be me.
Yeah, dude, that's
I just
amazing.
want to be me.
Hell yeah. In the cover, we should make his mustache slightly bigger.
Yeah, or smaller.
Or smaller. Yeah.
Go Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Bring it back.
There's a guy I know who might listen to this because I'm in a business group called, it's like a business/personal development group called Human, and a lot of folks from a company I used to work for called Active Life are in it. And I was just on a conference call today with this guy Larry.
Yo, all these names
Larry
seem real
didn't
intense.
used to have this amazing mustache, but he has it's got volume and
Ooh.
wave into it.
Shit.
So Larry has. I wish I could do that. I want to twist the ends.
Oh,
Eventually.
yeah.
Is that what your goal is? Is to get it out there?
Yeah.
Picking up signals.
I don't think my fiance is gonna let me have that kind of mustache when we get married.
What's your fiance's name?
Dana.
Dana. We're gonna have to talk to Dana.
Yeah, Dana. Gotta let this man live his dream, dude. It's his
You know what I'm
truth.
saying? It's on brand.
This started as a joke. I would just do this in November, and then I'd go back to where I grew up to go hunting every rifle season. And I was like, this is actually functional because your face gets really cold when you're just sitting in a field for 9 hours and it's 0 degrees outside.
Yeah. Okay.
But then it just stuck around.
Oh,
Now
interesting.
it's just who I am.
Where'd you
So,
grow up?
I just outside of Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So where the Little League World Series of baseball is.
Let's go. Great fact.
Yeah, never played baseball. Worked in baseball, never played baseball.
You worked in baseball? How?
So I thought that I wanted to work in professional sports for a while so I have half a computer engineering degree. Decided that wasn't for me. Had a back injury at the time that changed my perspective and made me drop out of school for a little while. and then had some really bad healthcare experiences, then had some really good healthcare experiences that made me realize that we can do a whole lot better than we're actually doing. And I was like, I want to like go learn from like the best people in the business. So I like had known some people that were in like the baseball industry, and like they seemed like they were doing like a lot of very like useful like ways of like thinking about like approaching like physical rehabilitation and like reconditioning. So 2017, I actually did an internship with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh shit.
And the Mariners out in Phoenix. My brother lived there at the time, so it was really convenient. Didn't like baseball enough.
Nah.
Baseball, yeah, it's tough. You gotta really love it. But learned a ton. Was not personally ready for that experience. I thought I was a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah. Well, what
Yeah.
smacked you in the face? What made you think, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be here?
These guys, like, their like knowledge of like the basics was just like astronomical. So they had like one of their philosophies was that like you're working in like rehab, like your knowledge of anatomy is like quintessential. So they would literally like randomly quiz you on like, give me like the origins and insertions of this, right? Like what's it do? Like what's it like innervated by? And I thought they were like joking, and then they would like ask each other, and they would like literally like 300 something muscles in the body. They just like had it all down.
Damn.
Stuff like that, right? Like the foundations that I didn't think were like that important, because you can just look it up. Now that I've like been in clinical practice for longer, it's like you don't necessarily need to know like all that, but it is super useful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought I could skip over that kind of stuff in my clinical practice, and that's not true.
It's not the case.
That's not the case.
Damn. That's crazy. Do you think you could probably go back now and maybe compete with, like, hang with those guys, or not really?
If I wanted to.
Yeah.
Still run in the same circles as like a lot of those people. So I have a bunch of like professional friends of mine do like a lot of consulting in Major League Baseball. Still, I'd probably more do that than like work for a team. So it consumes your life.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, you don't take a day off during spring training. As a minor league baseball athletic trainer, you'll get like 6 to 8 scheduled days off for like a season.
Damn.
Yeah.
What?
But then you get like 3 months off between your season ending and like spring training beginning. You report a couple weeks before spring training just to like get ready for it, because then you're there 12 hours, like 10 to 12 hours a day every day through spring training. Yeah, I just didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I ended up going right to physical therapy school. And then the company that I work for now was where I did my last clinical rotation, and I've worked for them since. So,
Shit. It's good company then.
Yeah.
You've been with them for a while.
Yeah.
Damn.
Going up on 3 years.
That's sick. So you said they do consulting. Have you thought about doing that, consulting other sports teams, or do you not really care for consulting for sports?
I would consult. I mean, it works for them because like a lot of them are still in Phoenix. So
what does that mean? Like, say someone's injured and then there's maybe their athletic staff can't figure it out. Do they then bring you in, or is it a second opinion? What is that like?
That's a thing. Some of the folks I know like will like go out to like Clemson for like a week and like essentially do like training like with their like rehab and like performance department on like stuff that like they're like subject matter experts in. Yeah, I'm very open to that. I do that on like a very limited basis right now online with some like I do some like online mentoring. So I do that like with a couple individuals right now, but like the bulk of what I do clinically is seeing patients out of Southampton, Pennsylvania, typically helping people who have had like persistent pain and injuries resolve that and get back to a relatively high level of performance with movement and exercise. That's the bread and butter of what I do.
Yeah.
So a lot of the folks in our company like had some kind of experience where they had like something like that started out just as like any other injury would, and then just like didn't go away, and like typically they kind of got like put through like the blender of like the medical system, or had really lackluster experiences in physical therapy and physical rehabilitation. So we kind of have like a very eclectic collection of clinicians and coaches working for next level physical therapy right now who have had like a lot of personal experience, like being someone who like had a relatively complex injury, and then they went to physical therapy and they got handed a piece of paper that's like, here's the back exercises. And you're like a 21-year-old. So on my story, I was like a 21-year-old Olympic weightlifter doing the same exercises as like a 73-year-old person who hasn't done anything necessarily super physically challenging in 30 years. Yeah,
you can see how that'd be an issue. You're like, do a sit up like this, old man.
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, it's not that.
Get it together.
It's not that like.
Put a gun to it. Do you ever like put a gun to someone's head and be like, do it? You know, that's what you're basically saying, Gilmore. It's just
What?
like, yeah, dude, you just targeted an old man.
How the fuck did I? What?
He can't do it.
I'm not putting a gun to anyone's head.
But if you put a gun to his head, he could do it.
He probably could.
He could do it.
He probably could, but he doesn't need a gun to his head.
Don't let Gilmore push you around.
Nah,
man.
dude, what the fuck? You guys can do it.
Just
if you
insulting
believe
our
it.
demographics.
Not insult any 70-year-old men listen to this shit.
You don't know.
All right, yeah, that's right. I don't know. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah. But speaking about like old men, it's not that like people that are older like can't tolerate like being like physically challenged and like loaded. It's just that like oftentimes, yeah. I mean, we can talk about other stuff, but
what like when people come to you, what is the breakdown of demographic? Like men, women, age, athleticism. Like what does your customer look like?
Sure, that's a good question, Andrew. We are, I would say, a broad range of ages would be like 25 at like typically like the youngest. We have some high school athletes just because we work inside like a sports performance facility, so we'll have like a symbiotic relationship with Melly Athletic Performance where we're inside of. We'll work with some of his athletes. I have a few of his on the roster right now. But on average, 25 to 55 to 60 years old, I'd say, is 80% of our customers who consider themselves to be an active adult. Like, they do jiu-jitsu, they resistance train, they do CrossFit, they hike, they like to fly fish, they like to hunt. Like, they like to do something that involves, like, physically, like, moving and using their bodies regularly. And they've had some kind of, like, orthopedic or muscular or joint issue that they've seen physicians for, had injections for, maybe had surgeries for, like, don't really know what else to do, typically feel kind of lost, or had a really, like, impersonal experience with physical therapy. Like, one of the most common things that, like, my patients will tell me when I meet them for the first time and we're just talking and I'm getting to learn more about them, making sure they seem like someone I can help, is, yeah, like, I saw my physical therapist for, like, 10 minutes at a time every single time I would go in, and then I worked with an aide who is typically a high school student who's walking you through the exercises that, like, a physical therapist, like, told you to do.
High school student or college student?
Could be both. Could be both, but not someone who has, like, a doctorate degree. Like, you have to be, like, a physical therapist now. Doesn't necessarily have, like, clinical experience, like, decision-making for people or, like, coaching exercise in any kind of way.
Are you, like, a doctor?
Technically. I don't...
Dude, he's Dr.
Colin
Butler.
Cut to the mustache.
Yeah, dude.
That's yeah. I mean, we're definitely gonna factor that into like the title of this episode.
It looks better.
It's gonna make us look like we're on the level of Joe Rogan.
It hasn't gotten me a hotel room upgrade yet, but I'll book hotels and flights with Dr. Colin Butler to see if it works.
That's sick, dude.
But then when they go, is there a doctor on the plane? I go, you don't want me. You don't want me.
Someone sprained an ankle, I got you.
Yeah,
I
come
got my
see
tiger
me.
tail. I'm ready.
Come see me in a few months when you're all healed up.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Once you're
You
done
hit him
having
with a
your heart
business
attack.
card. Hit him with a business card on the way out.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you broke your arm doing that turbulence.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my card. Come see me when you're healed.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say we do.
I'll fix that.
We don't even do like that much like post-op stuff, honestly. Like people who are like fresh out of like having a surgery. Like that's a setting where most often like your standard inpatient physical therapy is really good for, because you can't physically do all that much until the actual like injury you've had has healed and can tolerate being loaded and like respond favorably to you stressing it, right?
Oh, so you're like, if we could compare it in layman's terms, you have like the Ford Service Center, and then you have like the shop building race cars. Are you closer to building race cars?
Whichever person has like a high degree of attention to detail to like the product that they're like serving, right, and like how they're like delivering it, I would say that's more like it.
Okay, so we'll say like Rolls Royce, not race cars.
I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
I like race cars, but
I mean, yeah, everybody wants to be a race car, but
I want to be a race car.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, a race car driver.
Big
I wanna
homie over here is
be
Ferrari
A
legs, dude.
911.
What? A lot of things just happened.
Did you
Porsche
just bring up
911.
9/11?
Okay.
I was like, I heard
end of
that.
that.
I heard that tail on that too, and I was gonna be like, cut to Colin.
Yeah, it's like
Let's hear what he has to say about 9/11.
about Ferraris. You said 9/11. Okay, I get
Yeah,
it.
dude.
Yeah,
You're saying jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
yeah,
right?
you're right. That's inside
Yeah,
job.
Inside job, dude.
Inside
What?
job, dude.
What? No.
He was in on it, dude.
We're devolving in the Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
There's not enough tinfoil in this room to protect us right now.
Yeah, that's true, dude. Yeah, we need more
Frogs.
tempo. Frogs. Some in the water. Making the
Oh
frogs
man,
gay.
how many minutes into this episode are we? Because we're just gonna get fucking in trouble.
20.
All right,
Yeah,
we're far enough in.
we're about.
Nobody from YouTube listens this far into
Yeah,
our
it's
show.
fine,
Let's be
dude.
honest.
Shit.
We're in the safe zone.
Yeah, we're in the safe zone. We're good
I
to
think
go.
after like 8 minutes.
Yeah, YouTube stops checking.
Yeah. I wonder what those people look like. The people that just have to watch all the content.
Probably fucked up.
That's what aliens look. That's why like how we become aliens. I think you just deform into like.
Start to hunch
9
over.
Yeah.
monitors around you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
One time Gilmar and I talked about. We kicked around this idea that like you know how we monitor other countries. Well, like there's someone in China that's like sheltered, or in North Korea. Think about like some sheltered dude that just gets assigned to like monitoring TikTok or something. And like the shit he sees.
He's just parked in like a bunker.
Yeah, he's just like parked in front of a bunch of screens, just watching girls twerk and like do dumb shit all day. Like
The
that-
same sounds over
and-
and over and over
Oh,
again, driving
yeah.
into
Yeah, the
slow
the
insanity.
attrition rate in that job must be terrible. Like
Oh.
those guys quit regularly.
You think they can quit
That's the
in
question.
North Korea?
It's like how many dudes are we killing right now to keep them in front of the screens monitoring us?
Where are we going right now?
Well, that's like what I'm saying. It's like you think about it, like we actually are such an interesting culture that like we can destroy a country with how good we are.
How fucked up we are.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's
So
how
back
we
to
play
race
offense.
cars.
Yeah,
Back to race cars and not
What
Yeah.
when you got injured and your back was hurt, what did you do and like what was your experience that like brought you into this field?
Yeah. So I was like 20 at the time, and I had like really gotten into. I'd probably been like powerlifting and resistance training to some degree for like 2 or 3 years up to that point, and then I took a gym class on like Olympic weightlifting. I really enjoyed it, so I got like very, very, very specific with my training for probably like about like a year, and then just like started having some like occasional like backache, right? But it was just kind of like be like hanging out like in like the evening, like after work, and like I had like a like at the time when like I started noticing like I probably had like something going on. I was working for Anheuser-Busch in Newark as like an IT intern doing like plant systems maintenance essentially, and I get home from work, I'd go train, and then like I remember like a couple times just like waking up in like the middle of the night and be like, oh, my back's like a little stiff, you know, and then kept back to school like back in like a semester, and all of a sudden it was just I have like a very distinct memory of like maybe like 2 episodes where like after doing some like heavy pulls from the floor, I had like a lot of like localized discomfort just in kind of like the left side of my lower back that would kind of like go away after like a couple days. Then it just didn't go away, right? So I think everyone's first instinct is like, oh, like I think something's wrong with my body. I'm going to go see a physician. And I went and saw a physician at the time. I was having some like maybe some like outside of like the leg discomfort like first, like really like before like the back pain. So I went and saw like a physician. They did some
Physician
imaging.
meaning like normal like general practice type doctor.
I think I went to like an orthopedic physician, like someone who like is like not like a primary care physician who like I'm sick. Can I have some medicine? Like somewhere you're like, hey, I think I might have like an injury. Can we investigate this and like see if that's actually true and like what can we do about it? They didn't see anything like structurally like wrong like with my like lower extremity, so they parked me like to physical therapy, and so I went from like squatting, jumping, lunging, split squatting, deadlifting, being like relatively athletic to, hey, looks like you have some weakness in your hip abductor muscles. After I could pull like 415 pounds off the floor and like squat like 275 pounds for like 20 reps like consecutively, hey, it looks like your hip muscles are weak. So we're going to do some side lying leg raises, right? And we're going to do this like squat hold, like essentially like a wall sit on like the wall with like a ball, because we need to strengthen up your quads because they're weak. You see how those things could be like a little contradictory, right? Didn't get better, got really scared because like I like wasn't necessarily getting better. They essentially told me to like shut everything down, and then just like very quickly went downhill. Like back discomfort started getting way worse. Went home for the holidays. My mom actually took me to see her orthopedic physician, and they did some imaging. And this was like a really like impactful moment for me. So sometimes I've learned this since. Okay, like I played soccer like growing up like my like entire life, and healthcare in central Pennsylvania not too good. But like something that like the nurse would like always do is like you bend forward, touch your toes. They like look at your spine, see if they see anything like terribly asymmetric as like a screen for like someone having the scoliosis. Nah, like never up until I was like 20, right? Sometimes when you have a disc herniation, you can get something called like a lateral shift, where because something on like the inside of your body then entered like the outside of your body, when you have like a disc herniation, like something in like the middle of like a thick fibrous capsule just comes out. For some reason, and people aren't exactly sure why, you can have like a situation where like your pelvis goes one way and like your like shoulders go the other. And sometimes they can be like persistent, and it can look like you have scoliosis. So they took like a 20-year-old kid who was just like terrified, didn't have any like medically serious symptoms of having like a disc herniation. Like I didn't have like shooting back of the thigh pain, didn't have muscular weakness, didn't have any losses of sensation, just really had like local on like the left side of my back discomfort, and went, oh, hey, looks like you have scoliosis actually. Like, did you know about this? And I went, this is news, right? And they like scared the shit out of me, right? They were just like, shut it all down. Just shut it all down. Like you shouldn't lift more than like 5 pounds again for the rest of your life.
But can't you like fix scoliosis? Like can't you like straighten you out?
So there's like different. You can get like a functional scoliosis, which is kind of like what I had, where it emerged because of like some kind of like a temporary constraint on my body from having like the injury. Like if you were to look at me now, you wouldn't see that I have like a crooked spine, because I addressed what was going on like at like the level of the spine to like let like the injury resolve, and then I addressed how I was able to like move and control my body to have like a. This is actually like a really cool thing that I learned because of my injury. No one's symmetrical. We actually like move by like creating asymmetries like within the body, and then it's your lack of ability to like create different asymmetries at like the right time when you're moving that can lead to you like looking like asymmetrical as you're doing like symmetrical looking things, or just like moving in like everyday tasks.
Do you feel like he just like drew us into the Matrix?
Yeah, dude.
We can go pretty deep.
I'm fucking in it.
All right, let's go back to the story.
I can, like,
We're
take
just
someone's foot and change their face next, which is pretty sweet. I'm not kidding.
What?
Yeah.
all right. Before we get into the foot stuff,
Yeah. Let's
Gilmar's getting excited. Look at Granite
What
over
the
here.
fuck?
You blushing,
I am
dude.
not a foot guy at
Amber,
all.
what are you doing?
Just want to say that to everybody. I don't give a shit about feet. Andrew likes feet.
Yo,
Play the gang violence noise.
That's not true.
Yeah,
You can't
dude,
just like
it's-
immaturely pull me
Nah,
back into the
dude.
foot
Gang
discussion.
violence.
Nah,
Yeah,
it's you,
but
dude.
what I'm saying is, like, whatever. I was gonna confess about how I had empanadas twice last week, but nobody needs to know that.
Now everybody knows it.
Nobody listens to this show. Only a lot of people, but
Way to be a scapegoat. For
I could maybe go to like Washington D.C. and nobody would know about it. Whatever.
Why would you go to Washington, D.C.?
Get away from my reputation as an empanada addict.
Dude, you were there a couple years ago. Don't lie.
I don't think twice in a week is an issue. Like twice in one day for 6 days.
Yeah, but
might
twice starts, you know,
I
a
probably
slippery
have Buck's
slope
gyro
into a
twice a
daily thing.
You have what, twice a
be.
week?
I probably have Buck's gyro twice a week.
What is that?
No, I don't even know what you just said.
It's a little food cart on Street Road, like halfway between Southampton and Warminster.
A street cart on Street Road.
It's halal food.
Oh, I love halal
Yeah.
food.
They have really good samosas.
Oh,
Is this like where AJ gets his halal meat from? You know AJ?
I know AJ Curcio.
Yeah.
He and Artem are really good friends.
Yeah.
I don't know where he gets his meat from.
He's
no one fucking knows, dude.
yeah, dude, it's made up.
I just hear stories from Artem about how he's like super hardcore carnivore, and then he'll like go out to dinner with like him. I think they were like just out to dinner recently. It was like him, Gunnar, and Artem for some.
We'll have to dress this.
And he was just like smashing desserts left and right.
This fucking guy, dude.
yeah, dude. I don't know.
AJ's
His T
great.
levels are off the chart.
Yeah, AJ's
But
great.
So your injury, you got crooked up.
I got crooked up.
Yeah,
pretty good.
you got all twisted up.
Yep.
You had that snake spine. What obviously the doctor your mom took you to revealed, am I correct in understanding that he revealed your situation accurately to what was actually going on, or was that also a misdiagnosis?
All right, so it would not be wrong to say that at the moment that they took that imaging that my spine was crooked. Like, that was definitely
But that
true.
wasn't okay, so visually it was crooked, but
Correct.
you didn't actually have scoliosis, you had something else?
Yeah, so like relatively recently, like 7 or 8 months ago, I was actually like getting ready to like compete in Wipeout Wars, and I had like
Which is coming up in March. If you guys are white belts in jiu-jitsu and want to get want to get tested.
Show up.
I'm actually gonna try and be the medical staff for that in case anyone like breaks a wrist or a femur or like a leg or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if I'm free.
Not likely to
Marches.
happen.
Not likely to happen. But
Not likely to happen whatsoever.
That's cool.
Don't
that
worry.
you're
Broken
volunteering.
nose
Still come.
may or may not have happened last time. I digress. Back to you.
All right, so we were talking about was it accurate to say that I had scoliosis, or was it a misdiagnosis was the question?
Yes.
Yeah. So at that moment, it would have been accurate to say that I had a scoliosis, but the word scoliosis only means a abnormal like lateral curvature of the spine compared to like looking at someone who looks like they have like a relatively like straight spine when they're standing.
Okay.
Right?
So so then what like you didn't find out then what happened? So you go to the next physician and that's when you found out?
They did an MRI next and saw that I had like 2 herniated discs in like my lower lumbar spine at like the L5-S1 to the L4-L5 section.
Okay, so that's 2 vertebrae.
Yeah.
And then you're oozing out fluid out of your vertebrae.
Correct. Pretty much. Yep.
Not good.
Not good. Not good. But
Why was that funny?
I don't know.
That
Not
was a
good.
serious statement.
I know it's not good. You're right.
Yeah. All right, hit
not
it.
good when you're like 21. What's cool is if you
It's not good ever. Let's be
Well,
clear about that.
this is actually I'm going to challenge that a little bit.
All right,
There's a
hit
lot of
me. Hit me
research.
with the positive reasons to have a herniation in your spine. Go.
Sometimes it happens really slowly as you age. Okay, so if you image people who are like 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, who are asymptomatic, meaning they don't have back pain, and you look at the incidence of them having like disc bulges and disc herniations, as you get older, your chance of having one of those is like significantly higher. But these are asymptomatic people who have like never had back pain, don't currently have back pain.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a good reason to have one.
Well,
What you're saying. There's a neutral case saying if it's not necessarily bad.
they don't always matter.
Okay.
Like they don't always matter for like having back pain.
So I could be herniated right now.
You could be. Here's a case.
Likely.
All right. They matter when you have the signs and symptoms that indicate that would be like one of the main reasons why you're having that stuff happen to you. Those would be if you have like numbness around like your groin or your bladder.
Okay.
You probably have like a relevant disc herniation.
I don't have that. You got that?
I'm happy that you don't have that. It's really
Okay.
it's not fun.
Okay.
If you have like muscle leg weakness that like is like severe and is in the pattern of what's called like a myotome, so like different muscles are innervated by like different levels of your spine.
Okay.
If you have like consistently reproducible like muscle weakness and like the space between your L2 vertebrae and your L3 vertebrae like typically innervates like a lot of your like hip flexor and like upper like quadricep muscles. So if you had like reproducible muscle weakness in that you didn't have on like one other side, that would be like a sign that this could be coming from like the inflammation around your spine from like the disc herniation causing that. Or
Okay,
if you have like losses of sensation, like I were to like poke you in like different spots on your legs and you couldn't feel them, that would be like, hey, this is probably coming from like a disc herniation affecting like your neurology. But if you just have back pain, like I had a patient literally in last week who was playing with his kids out in the yard. He got like knocked over by his one daughter, was trying to like twist to avoid like crushing his like 5-year-old girl, and then his other daughter just takes out his legs like in the yard. And he like got up from that and was like, "Oh, I just hurt my back." Then he like couldn't walk the next day. He went to a physician who imaged he did like an X-ray. X-rays can't show disc herniation. They show bone.
Dummies. You know what I'm saying?
It was tough,
Clearly,
it was
who
tough
does
decision
that?
making.
Who orders an X-ray for a
but
disc herniation? Come on now.
They told him that he had like low back pain because he had like a lumbar disc herniation, and that was it. They didn't tell him what to do. They just said, hey, this is from like a disc herniation. Just like keep resting. I saw him and I put him in like a position that like helped him to be able to like increase the space between his like lumbar facets, like when he breathed in, and he like was able to get relief from his back pain for like the first time in like 2 weeks. Disc herniation probably wouldn't be affected that quickly, right? So like
He's got the Lord's touch. What?
You saved, dude.
yeah,
Someone's looking out
it's
for him.
just it
Bless
doesn't
him.
always matter unless it like has like the other characteristics of it that would make it matter. So like yeah, if you have like a lumbar disc herniation, it means you're creating a lot of like motion at that level of your spine, right? More so than like other levels.
What is... I'm gonna ask a serious question, but I had a dumb question pop up into my head that I just gotta let out. I was gonna ask like, how do you herniate someone else's disc? But that seems a little self-explanatory. So I was just like, why are you thinking that? We go with this. But my serious question is back to your origin story.
Yep.
So you moved on from that physician to another physician. You got the MRI. What at what point or like when in your journey did you like have the experience that you started to get like relief, and like what was that?
Yeah, that's a good
or
question.
what did that look like?
So I didn't want to do surgery, and the neurosurgeon that I ended up going to see said like I probably wouldn't do surgery on this either. Just keep taking Advil.
And this was like a lower back herniation, center back herniation.
Like so your L5S1 region is like where like your lower back meets your sacrum, which is like a triangular bone, like right above.
So it's where your tramp stamp would be.
Exactly where.
Like
my
if you had a
is.
tramp stamp, that's where you're talking.
Yeah, but I didn't really know what to do. Like I tried going back to school. I had like an internship lined up with McKinsey and Company. I couldn't like sleep or like sit. I think I was just also getting like really like scared because like no one was like giving me like useful advice. So instead, I had tried doing like a bunch of like core stability exercises because everyone just said, "Oh, you have back pain, like strengthen your core," and that usually looks like learning to like stop your back from moving. Like you do things where like I'm gonna stop my back from arching as I move my limbs. I'm gonna stop my back from being able to twist. I'm gonna stop it from being able to like bend side to side.
Basically,
So
do the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like what so many people get. Is it too far away? Okay. that was reassuring. Thank you.
Just keep going. I'm listening.
So I was doing exactly like what I got told to do by like everyone and their mother, right? And it wasn't necessarily helping. Like I was like probably like having like a harder time like being able to sit, like a harder time being able to sleep, because it turns out that your spine's 33 joints, and they're meant to move. This is like a really great example of that. If you take your finger, which is like 3 joints, and you lock it into one piece for a minute, it's fine. You don't move it for like an hour. It's a little stiff. What if you didn't move it for like 6 months? Then you go to bend it and you didn't break your finger. You just like splinted it together, and then it has to be able to move. So
I wonder if anybody's done that like in the Guinness Book of World Records, just like not move their finger for like the longest time possible.
you can do it here.
That must be tough to do.
What did I do that started to get me better? I went and saw Rambo's going ham. I went and saw, I was like looking for people online. I saw like a really iconic physical therapist who came recommended to me by like a coach that I had. And he kind of just like reassured me that like nothing crazy was wrong and like told me to keep training. And that just didn't really like help me. So then I went and saw, I like was looking up for people who were like trained in like the functional movement screen, which is like a commercial model of like assessing how like people can move. Because that was what this other like more like famous physical therapist. He works with like a lot of like professional athletes and like celebrities. I couldn't really like afford to go see him like all that much, but I looked up someone who was like trained in that, and they started to get me better by just like reassuring me that like, hey, like just because this is going on, like you still need to be able to learn to like move your back. We have to find ways in which right now your like body like tolerates you being able to move, and slowly reintroduce like getting your spine to move like a spine. And that started to like give me some hope again. That started to get me more confident in my body. That started to like make me feel like more comfortable like sitting. I still had some like persistent asymmetries in like the resting posture of my spine. So I actually went and saw a physical therapist who was like trained in this like school of thought of like how movement is created and like how you can like change how people can move, called the Postural Restoration Institute. And we did some weird stuff. Like I worked with like an optometrist because I had like a visual midline shift that had happened. And when we did some like vision therapy to like improve like my actual perception of like where like the middle of my body was, the curvature in my back got better.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I honestly, at the beginning of this story, I did not know we were going down that road.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's wild.
Of vision.
A vision
Yeah.
quest.
So, I mean, vision's like how you sense the world around you. So if for like whatever reason you've created like a significant like asymmetry in like how you move, your body's going to like twist and torque itself to stay looking like straight ahead. Your perception of like the middle of your body can change, which is kind of crazy. So
if you got like a kink in your neck for long enough that your head's like this, eventually you're just going to start like walking, kind of like crab walking.
you could,
Dang.
yeah.
That's
The
interesting.
question would then be like, why did you develop like the kink in your neck? But if things don't go away,
I tried to give somebody a hernia and they
a hernia or a
a
herniation.
herniated disc.
Like I've been sleeping wrong.
You
for
know
a
what?
long
Actually,
time.
both.
Yeah.
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 But that approach just like also goes into like I'm trying to keep this like really broad because they get like a little complicated with stuff. That turns out you're not supposed to be symmetrical. Turns out you can like learn to like move your body in like alternating like asymmetrical ways that like makes it like to give you like even function of your body on like either side of it as you do different things. That was useful to it like a degree. And then I was probably still having some like off and on again like lower back discomfort, and then
And you got the lower back discomfort because you were lifting heavy, or like how did this injury occur?
You can never really say like exactly how something happened unless it was like a sports related injury where like say you got like armbarred and your like elbow exploded, then you could say like this is how that happened, right? How like a lot of disc herniations happen is, well, this is something a perspective I've gotten from my current mentor, Bill Hartman, is like the resting position of your body can change based on like how you respond, like the things that you like regularly do. If you end up like losing like a lot of that ability to like segmentally move your spine, if we were using like the finger analogy, you get like a stiffer spine that moves more like one piece. But like say like you put someone in like a triangle and they go to like stand you up and like forcibly like flex your spine. If you have like a back that is moving more like a rod and like a dowel, it still has to bend to like absorb force and like yield to like some degree. Instead of making the bend like evenly throughout like the segments, you created the bend from like within the vertebral body. And then you do that enough over time and right, you get like a disc herniation.
Vertebral body.
Vertebral body, I like that.
Yeah, it's just the name.
It sounds like
It's
it
just the name,
sounds like
dog.
you're part of like Skull and Bones, and like that's like the handshake vertebral body.
that should have been the sound.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah. We can play it back and put it in.
Someone's gonna get these. Someone's gonna get me for one of these sounds.
Sounds like
Dude.
these sounds, dog.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
So to like
Would,
answer your question, like how would you get like a disc herniation? Get a back that like no longer moves in like a segmental manner, and then force it to move, and it's going to create it in like a focal place.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Or get like a pelvis that can't like move and turn, and then what's right above your pelvis? Your spine. Yeah.
Shit.
You gotta keep that You gotta worry about your pelvic health.
Dude, you got to keep it moving.
I be telling that to people all the time.
Gotta
All the
maintain
time, I'm
your-
like on Instagram just making stories about pelvic health.
maintain your hip mobility,
You gotta.
especially if you do like a rotational sport.
Got to gyrate. Yeah,
Yeah.
rotational sport.
That's what I've been twerking since like 03. That's what it's about.
Dude, I've been dancing since 03.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah,
we don't know though.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, gotta keep
You
back.
got like I think you got salsa hips.
Bro, I do. I do this shit. I dance with your mom right now.
Yeah. My mom would. I don't think she'd dance with you.
What? You don't
That's
think
weird.
so? I show up with my hair just beautifully brushed.
Dang it,
Yeah,
dude!
great
Stay away from
outfit.
her mom.
Just saying, watch out, Andrew's mom.
Bring in your empanadas.
Yeah, right. We get empanadas.
What are you gonna distract me with empanadas?
Yeah, I'm gonna distract you with empanadas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna distract you with my hips.
We're gonna get a
I'm
a
a dick.
disc
I'm
herniation.
addicted to
On that
you.
back.
Yeah.
Bruh.
I'm gonna get a dick. He said. That's weird. No, I'm
That's
kidding.
weird. How long have you been training jiu-jitsu?
Like a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was longer than that.
Nope. No.
Okay.
Artem convinced me to start going to his like Wednesdays at 5 in the morning class at Grindhouse
Mm.
when I was working in Hamilton. And
Okay.
then when I moved, like a little bit like before I moved, I started training at Saga. Kyle came to. I guess legally I can't say that. I met Kyle Myers, and he
Whoa, scratch that. Timestamp.
probably bleep that out. Let's start here.
He's coming on soon, and I'm sure he doesn't mind.
Yeah, I met Kyle Myers in like a professional sense, and then he convinced me to come by like the gym, and I started taking their like I was only doing like jits like once a week, which for like maybe like 2 or 3 months, which is functionally not doing.
Did you just call jits? Oh
Jits.
wow,
Why?
dude, that's intense.
Is it? I
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was training jiu-jitsu 1 time a week, which
Yeah.
is not really like enough to like learn and like progress. So I decided I was going to start going to like the no-gi fundamentals class at Saga. Danny taught that. Danny is a phenomenal leg locker. It's really fun. He's like a really good technical coach. So he was like a great person to learn from. And then I just ended up moving like right down the street from Saga. So that's where I started training 2 to 3 times a week more regularly because it's 3 minutes from my house.
Yeah, Kyle's coming on the podcast in, I don't know, I have to look at the calendar,
Yeah, I
a
don't
couple
know either off
weeks.
the top of my head.
Yeah, something like that. But so yeah, we're pumped,
Cool.
pumped for that.
Yeah.
We were able to get him in because I think he unfortunately hurt his shoulder, or
Yeah.
or finally had surgery on it at least.
He's out for a little while.
So he's got some free time. So his injury is our gain.
That's it.
That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Shout out.
What has training jiu-jitsu affected your business in terms of like adding clientele?
It's actually a market that I really like because I feel if you do a combat sport that's designed to like break your joints for long enough, something starts to hurt. And I think a lot of jiu-jitsu players just get used to like dealing with it. They just go, "Oh, I'm just getting old." Right? Like I'm just kind of like beating up my body like a little bit. But honestly, I have a dude who's like a heavyweight guy from Saga. I won't mention his name, but he had like persistent elbow pain for like 2.5 years where like whenever he would go to like lock in like any kind of like choke, he'd have to like let up what he was doing because of his like tricep pain. And he had thought that he had tried everything. He had iced it. He had heated it. He'd like done like stretching. He'd done like forearm strengthening stuff. We didn't know what else to do. We got rid of it in like 4 visits.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like
That's awesome.
Your elbow, that was, if you don't mind me bring that up.
Yeah, dude, let's just violate HIPAA.
let's do
Let's do
it.
it, dude.
Let's do it.
I approve. I don't, you know what? Fuck HIPAA.
Fuck HIPAA.
It's a pain in the butt sometimes.
No, we can do it.
But like you had like you got caught in like a big armbar, like an armbar that got put on like
It
real
was a
fast.
fluke, but yeah.
Yeah, allegedly. Allegedly.
It was a fluke, dude. It was a death match to the submission. We went like 8 rounds in a row. Got a little sweaty in my,
Slipped.
got armbarred.
Just slipped. That's it. It happens.
It slipped. Like I had my grip and I was turning up into it, and then my no.
Oh, damn.
Ah.
Yeah. And then you had a cranky elbow.
Yeah, it was. It fought me.
Yeah. And then you came in with like the understanding of like, oh, like what are some like strengthening exercises I can do, or like what are some like stretching exercises I can do like to make this better. And we just did like 1 or 2 things in order to like.
He gave me secret moves.
I
That's
gave him
nuts.
some secret moves because it turns out that like all your joints twist and turn, don't just move in straight lines. When you get armbarred, typically it's like a turning out of like both like your shoulder bone and like your elbow bone, which can create like a lot of pressure and like that I mean that's how like the joint lock works is like you get like an intense pressure in like the back of your elbow and then you tap from it, and if you don't, you blow your elbow out. So we just restored some of that like relative motion between like the joints of your elbow and it got you over the hump. We didn't have to strengthen anything. We didn't have to stretch anything.
And now I'm deadly again.
Now he's lethal.
That's
now
sick.
He's loaded. Yeah, but
That's really cool.
to your question, I actually love working with jiu-jitsu players because they just think I need to get stronger or I just have to deal with it, and oftentimes that's not the case. Oftentimes there's a lot more they can consider and like how they can like move, load, and control their body that can like have them playing the game they want to play without pain, or just like this dude was like he was having. The cooler thing for me was this guy from like the gym came to me like for his elbow. We resolved it in like 4 visits. I think I recommended, because he had it for like 2.5 years, like let's do like 14 visits across like 5 months. We got rid of it in like 4 visits. And then he told me that he's had some like persistent knee discomfort whenever he's been like going, he likes to do like mountaineering, and he does like a lot of like backpacking and like hiking, where he'll go out for like a couple days, do some climbing, do some elevation gain, some descents. But he was having like persistent knee pain going downhill. And there was like one episode that like brought it to mind where he, for some reason, I think like they had to like get off the mountain like really quickly, but they had to go down like 2,500 feet of like elevation. And they did that in like 2.5 hours, and then his knees were just like atrocious like the next day. And he was really concerned because he's trying to eventually get the experience to go up Everest. And I didn't know what it takes to like do like crazy climbs like that. Like you have to have like a resume, or else like people won't take you, because you could possibly like kill yourself or like the people you're climbing with if you
You can just helicopter
you make a
him. No big
mistake.
deal.
Yeah, if you're soft. If you're weak.
Yeah.
And
You could just don't they have a ski lift there by now? So many people have visited Everest. You don't think they would have made it easier to get to the top?
Bruh, nah.
the
All these
pictures
people be dying and shit. They just build a gondola,
be simple.
Yeah, but that's
open it up, and
I
be
think
more
that's-
inclusive.
I think that's what you call
Everest,
a Sherpa.
Everest isn't inclusive.
it's not, dude.
It's a prejudicial mountain. That mountain, I just ruined it.
I think they kept it that way to make it such a feat, you know.
Mm.
Because if it wasn't, then it wouldn't be as cool.
Yeah, but we put a man on the moon, right? If that's true, a gondola on Everest isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Argue that logic. Right?
I think Everest has built this insane reputation to where they want to, hold that shit.
A man on the moon.
Yeah, I know.
So you're saying that didn't happen?
It did happen.
All right.
I'm just saying, dude. Maybe Everest is one of those things that you just don't know.
It's definitely not in the basement in Hollywood.
Yeah.
All right. Serious question, though.
Yeah.
Serious question. Is cupping bullshit?
For what?
I don't know. Does it do anything? Explain to me the value of cupping.
Can I flip the question on you?
I think cupping is the nice next ice bath. If you want to get invested right now, cupping is going to blow up. It's already kind of a big deal, but it's going to take one celebrity doing cupping for like everybody in the world to be doing this.
What do you think cupping does?
I guess, if you want to play the question game, ask you what it does. You asking me what it does? Kind of ridiculous.
You're just mad because he flipped it on you.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
This is my podcast. I understand.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like, I think what it does is it pulls your muscle up into the vacuum of space created by said cup apparatus, whether it's like air or
Yeah.
whatever your technique, if you're a Shaolin monk or not. And in vacuuming it up, it kind of gives you like this medical hickey that indicates that there's like blood vessels being pulled up to the surface, and I guess creating or promoting circulation. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. Is that anywhere close?
So your first bit, spot on, right? It creates a negative pressure. It like creates like a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
So you like suck something up into it, and you create like a local expansion of whatever tissue you like sucked up into it. Okay. It bruises blood vessels, like the blood vessels like on the surface. It doesn't necessarily increase the blood flow to that area from like all the research that I've like read on it. But
So what is it doing?
so it's because of like the suction, you're like lifting up like the muscle, you're lifting up like the connective tissue is like a fancy word. You're not just muscle, you also have like thin layers of like fascia like going across all your muscles, like to like your joints in your body. But if you like your muscles contract and compress and they expand, okay? So like your biceps is like a really easy example of that. If I flex my arm, I contract my bicep muscle and I actually like expand my tricep to a degree, okay? If I flip-flop it, if I extend my elbow, I contract and compress my tricep and I expand my bicep, all right? Like lots of people who like can't actually like extend their elbow anymore because they've been armbarred too many times have like a tricep that's like they have like a bicep that's like functionally like stuck, like contracted. Other muscles in your body can get biased towards being in like a more contracted or compressed state. You can lose the ability to like flip-flop that. So like I'll use cupping or dry needling. I do a lot of dry needling because it's easy on the hands. if I can't get someone to be able to like move their body differently because they can't like overcome or they can't like change that kind of like muscle activity to like make their joints move differently. Muscles are dumb. They just attach to bones. Okay. So if you move two ends of a bone closer together, you contract something. If you move two ends of a bone further apart from each other, you like lengthen something or like potentially like relax it. If I can't get someone to like move their body, their bones in like a different way, maybe they're bumping into muscle activity that they can't change, and then I'll throw some cups on or some needles in like real specific places, and sometimes that can be like really useful. So like if like someone can't like bend their back because they have like a back that's kind of like stuck in like a very like stiff extended position, like you're doing like a glute ham back raise, okay? Maybe I'll throw some cups like up like the back of their spine, and then I'll put them in like a position where when they breathe in, right, like they're expanding themselves from the inside out, so they're gonna like stretch themselves from like the inside out, and the cups just help it happen easier. I'll do that, right? Or if like someone is having like discomfort on like the inside of their shoulder blade, and they like kind of like live in like a position where their like shoulder blades are pinched back, they're already in like a position where like you're doing like a row, like you're doing like a bent over row, like you're like rhomboids are squeezing. Maybe I'll cup or needle that. Right, and then give them something like to be able to move their rhomboid and the rib cage in a way that teaches them to be able to get that stuff to like actually relax and not need to be on. I think like the biggest misconception that like folks have is if I have like a tight muscle, I just got to stretch it. Because I think that's like what we've like been like anecdotally like raised on, right? Like, oh, if you're tight, just stretch. Well, the big thing is everyone like sits in like a chair for like 20 hours a day now. So it turns out like if you're tight, maybe make sure you move your body like a little bit more than like 500 steps a day. Solves most of your problems. But also like if you're having like a lack of ability to move your body in certain ways, maybe it's not like a stretching issue, because stretching actually mostly just increases the tolerance of your muscles to stretch. It doesn't like change their like length or their like resting state. It's like a low load like on the muscle, and like you improve your pain tolerance when you stretch. Like we don't prescribe a lot of stretching in our clinic, but we significantly improve the way people are able to like move and like their ease of movement by teaching them to be able to like get their body in the different shapes at different times as they're lifting, as they're like not lifting, as they're just. Yeah, we don't move that much in society anymore. So
True.
Turns out like step one is let's take what's the one thing we can do that'll solve the most problems. Well, if you don't move at all right now, let's get you moving your body in some way regularly, right? Step two, if you are regularly moving your body and you're having significant issues with being able to do certain things, okay, can your joints move in the way that your joints are supposed to move? No? Let's fix that. All right. Did that resolve your issue? Okay. Have you had to take time off because you got injured? All right. You can move your joints appropriately. You have like you're like comfortable moving. Maybe it's a capacity issue. Maybe like you don't have like the strength, the conditioning, like the repeatability to do what you need to do because you're like bumping into your like physical limit of what you can tolerate. That's called 1 rep max living. I don't allow that. All right. Yeah. So like, can you move your body? Are you moving your body? Can we improve your ability to move your body more over time, faster, harder, stronger, so that you're more prepared than what you are regularly doing on like a daily basis, so that you have like a large buffer zone between like what you're capable of and like what you're doing, and then you stay healthy, right? Like people get told to ease back into it after an injury. That's a crock of shit. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
What does that actually mean? Like, how do you interpret that? Like, so I help people to like answer that question of like, how do I like what's going on with how I can like use my body and what matters for my situation, right? Everyone, there's too much information out now. So like the answers to your problem probably exist online, but I don't think that I can resolve what's going on with like if I owned a house and I had like a major construction issue. I wouldn't just try to answer that by like going on the internet and like watching videos, right, on like how to do like planning and stuff.
Oh, I fucking would.
Well, because you understand it.
No, not because I understand it. I do this stuff with cars. I do that stuff like,
okay.
I'm like, I can fix it myself.
Well, because you figure it out.
Dude, for that armbar thing, I probably watched 30 hours of fucking YouTube before I went to see him.
And then you saw me for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And you got actionable advice that was tailored to you and not to everyone.
Yeah, I would have found it eventually.
Maybe you would.
No, I'm just kidding. You really did help me out. And it's a testament to your hands and your talents.
And your brain.
I didn't even touch you that much. I just taught you to do stuff.
Oh, stop.
You
He
get
wanted to
touched
touch me.
Ooh, that could have been a soundbite.
Yeah, it's gonna be now.
Could have been a soundbite.
I didn't even touch you that
I didn't
much.
touch you that much.
Yeah.
I could have touched you more.
And he's like,
I guess like I probably like the biggest thing that I do is I save people time by making sure that like where their time is definitely our most valuable resource. Like you look at anyone who's like on their deathbed, they're like, I wish I had more time. So if you're dealing with pain and injury, can you possibly do something useful for your injury by going online and like finding information about it? Sure. How do you apply it? How do you know when like what you found, like when you need to move on from like what you found, when you've like maximized the usefulness of it, right? Like I save people time by making sure that you're spending your effort in like the right place in order to improve your physical freedom,
Yeah,
your physical health.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I remember when during the happy hour we were talking, and I mentioned to you that I had a little shoulder thing, and you asked me a question that I thought was interesting. You said, if you didn't have this pain in your shoulder, what do you think you could be doing that you're not doing now?
Yeah.
And I told you, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't warm up as much or think about doing a push-up twice before I do it, and you laughed at that. And I thought it was kind of funny too. But and then I think we were going to keep talking, but someone interrupted us. But I like that question. Yeah, it was a little rude by whoever interrupted us. But I like that question. Do you typically ask that question to kind of see how severe it is to someone, or to gauge, you know, what to say or how to approach it?
Yeah, that's precisely why I asked that. It's like what's for two reasons. All right. Like when say you actually like came to see me at the clinic, your first time seeing me is always free. So I can actually meet you and I can make sure that I think I can help you with what you have going on. Like the worst thing I could do is I am the wrong place for you to be because you have something like medically serious going on. Like let's make sure it's not that. And then two, does it sound like you actually like need what I do and you actually want what I do? Like those are very important questions, like get on the same page with. So that's a question that I very commonly ask to do two things. One, like, what's your understanding of how this is impacting you? All right. Or people don't like to think about things that are uncomfortable to them. So maybe that's the first time they've thought about like that side of it. Like they probably subconsciously know what they're not doing because of their injury, their painful complaint, but have they had to think about it? Like, have they had to like really consider like what you would be doing differently if you didn't have that going on? Sometimes they haven't. Like I've had people come in for like a consult, and they're like, yeah, you know, I actually just thought about it, and turns out I'm like afraid like to bend over and play with my kids. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
you had back pain, but like that's not the issue why you're coming to see me. Like I joke about this all the time. People probably drive past my clinic on Industrial Boulevard every day who like have persistent pain. You only come to see me when it's stopping you from doing something you really care about. Yeah. So I asked that question to like see just like, is it actually urgent?
Yeah.
Like if it's just
he was testing you to see
He
if
was
you're
testing
weak.
me. Yeah, he was testing me. Yeah.
He's like, oh, what am I dealing with here? It's just soft, dude.
Yeah, and I was interested in seeing what he had to say afterwards, but again, we got interrupted. But
Who interrupted you? You seem a little upset.
I wasn't. I mean, I'm not upset that I was interrupted, but I think I was a little. I wish we had that time, you know.
Oh, that sounded sweet.
Yeah, because it is. You know,
we could never get it back.
We were talking, and we're getting to know each other. It was a good time.
there's always the next one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that I think about. You asked about cupping. What about massage therapy guns and foam rollers? What's I guess your opinion on those?
That's a good question. And then I'd say the same thing that matters for it is like, what are you expecting it to do, and like what's your intent?
Okay.
Right. Like foam rolling can be a really useful tool in the short term to, like we were talking about how like muscles like compress and expand. You can use foam rolling to like essentially, if you like, you can like zoom into my hand as we're doing this. As I push into my hand, see how
Don't zoom in. Don't give it to him.
See how I'm like pushing this like wave forward through it.
Yeah.
So I'm like pushing fluid around when I do that. Okay, it doesn't break up adhesions. It doesn't like break up scar tissue. Scar tissue is very hard to break up. right? Oftentimes you don't. You just like learn to like contract and like you just like use your muscles in different functions, and like the natural like pulling, sliding, and gliding helps it to become more pliable. Like it improves its ability to like elongate and like shorten and work a little bit better and like turn over. But you can't completely get rid of scar tissue. If you go in and you cut it out, you give yourself another controlled injury, so your body makes more scar tissue. You're definitely not breaking it up with a foam roller. Okay. The analogy I use for that is if foam rolling could like change the physical structure of your muscle, when you fall on ice and you hit the ground, you'd be deformed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you would be misshapen if that were the case. But when I poke on you, I'm really interacting with like your brain body connection. So I'm poking on you, signals go like up your arm, up your spine, hit your brain, it interprets it, your brain sends something back down. So you can like temporarily change like muscular tension with foam rolling. You can push some fluid around to change how like a joint can move, and it definitely in the short term like reduces your perception of discomfort. But it's also like intrinsically like a little painful, right? So that's probably more of like a top down response from your noggin doing that. I wouldn't necessarily say it improves your recovery.
Okay.
From stuff like it.
What about the massage guns?
Percussion's kind of cool because like different kinds of vibration can like change. So if you use like a lower frequency, that can actually be like relaxing and like increase like your parasympathetic nervous system activity versus like a very high frequency will almost like ramp up like muscular activity. All right. So think about like a lot of people think of electrical stimulation when they think of like physical therapy, especially if they had like a knee injury or if like you had like an ACL injury is one of like the most common injuries in like the world that like people like recognize as like being a thing. Sometimes after like a knee injury, when you have like swelling around the knee, the swelling typically causes you like to lose the ability to like recruit as many fibers of your knee, of your like quad muscles quickly. Your quads are probably like 60 million different like bundles of fibers, and they don't all contract at once. They kind of like ramp up over time depending on like what you're doing. So electrical stimulation. Electrical stimulation.
He's telling you to wrap it up.
To do that will be like super high frequency to like help them like contract like a lot faster. Okay. But I've also used like, I will sometimes use like dry needling on like a very low frequency, like 3 to like 10 hertz to be like very like relaxing on muscles. So I think there's actually probably something to the percussion for like muscular soreness that's useful. But my caveat is if you have to constantly like use a massage gun to like manage muscular soreness, that's not solving your issue. All right. So if you had like a hard training session and you're just like really sore afterwards, I'm totally fine with you using that. If you have to massage gun your knee every single time before you get on the mat to be able to train, you're putting a Band-Aid on an issue.
That's definitely not me.
Dude knows. No, it's not me at all.
What about things like gua sha? Like I watch different things on that where like these Asian ladies will be like scraping these dudes' backs and stuff like that.
That
like
sounds painful.
yeah, it looks incredibly painful. But like after, like what is happening with that? I guess we'll wrap it up soon after this. I guess.
Yeah.
We'll let them go. We'll let them go after we get some more free information.
Yeah. You see that bruising because they literally broke surface blood vessels by how hard they were scraping.
Yeah.
So, technically, if you break like a blood vessel, your body then has to go like send in like the cleanup crew to like cart it out. So it might do something for like your lymphatic system, which is like the system that like pumps fluid everywhere like in your body. But I'm also like a little uneducated about gua sha.
Oh, that's fair. I respect that.
I don't want to speak outside of my circle of influence on it.
You just start speaking in Mandarin.
Yeah, that's sick.
like, we're like, whoa, shit.
Whoa, you know way too much. No, he mentioned something earlier about how you said tape a foot and then something with a face or
Sure.
What was that about?
Oh,
Sorry.
okay,
I just remember I want to bring it back to that real quick.
Dude, that's fair. Good
Yeah,
call
'cause
back.
that was very interesting.
We'll step into the matrix for a second.
Yeah.
Okay? So people move their body by pushing through like a surface. Okay. So like when you're walking, your foot hits the ground. If you weren't pushing into the ground, you'd crumple and do like a puddle. Okay. Like when you're trying to like bridge off the mat to like create space in jiu-jitsu, you're pushing through the mat or you're pushing through your partner. So those are all forms of propulsion or moving your body through space. Okay.
That's exactly how I think about it.
Every time.
Every time, I just propelling myself through space, dude.
Yeah. I mean, you do like a sick hip bump, and you like get someone like flying in the air.
Yeah.
You propelled you and them.
You know I got bump in these hips, dude.
That's solid, dude.
I'm aware. But so like when someone's standing up, not everyone's feet looks the same. Given there is a like genetic influence on that to a degree, but like the shape of someone's foot as they're standing is also telling me about like where is like the rest of their body like pushing down into the floor as they're doing something. Okay. And actually that's like something that's like actually like adaptable and changes in people. Okay. So if I have someone who, like we're bumping into an ability for them to like to move differently. I actually have a sweet picture I'll show you. I had like a high school soccer player with like not perpetual, but like kind of off and on again, like hamstring issues. And she had like a very significant difference in like the shape of her like right foot, like relative to her left. I taped her foot and the entire shape of like both of her knees literally changed as she was standing, and like how she was able to like move and like load her body changed. If you tape someone's foot in a way that helps them to be able to like systemically change like where their body is pushing into the floor, it's going to change where their center of mass is. Mm-hmm. Those changes can propagate up the system, and like your head is very important because like your brain is like the top of your spinal cord, and your body will do whatever it needs to like try to like keep your head like straight ahead. If I change your ability to like manage where your body is like from the ground up, you can change like how someone like carries their cranium and like the shape of their cranium.
Damn,
which is kind of cool.
Dude, you should definitely like. I mean, you're engaged, so you can't do this, but you should definitely go out to bars and just like pick up girls and just be like, I can change your cranium, go.
Stupid.
Just offer up wisdom like that.
Yeah. You would
and they'll
be
like, what do
surprised,
you
though.
mean? And then you just like start talking about that. You'd be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Look at Ryan Gosling's face in like an unedited photo. He has a significant cranial torsion, which is kind of cool.
What does that mean, torsion?
Like either side of his face looks different.
Oh.
Like when he's like looking like square ahead. Like I have
Ryan Gosling?
Yeah.
I get compared to him occasionally, so that's interesting.
Really?
Do I have a cranial torsion?
No.
I don't see that.
No.
Be like, how do you say that in Spanish?
Sorry, Kyle. You should look at Kyle's face. He has a bit of a cranial torsion. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do I have cranial torsion? I have a hat on. You probably can't tell.
You're pretty straight. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I can show you some examples of it.
Yo, eyeball me up. What do we got?
What's wrong with me? Hurry up. What's wrong with me? Tell me what's wrong with me.
Hurry up,
right
dude.
now.
Give me some torsion.
Hurry up. Tell me what's wrong with me.
Do some torsion. It's but I've had people who like this was something my a friend of mine did. All right, so like how your like cranium can move is like very important for like how like the rest of your body moves. He had a client who was like having issues with like being able to like extend her knee, who had seen like a lot of different providers. He did something with like turning down the volume in like one of her hearing aids and like having her like do something essentially like with her like jaw like in her face, and she regained the ability to like straighten her knee for the first time in like 2 years, which was kind of like sick. Yeah. So if you start looking at like why people can't move a joint as like what if that's like a part of like how their body's capable of like pushing themselves around, you can get some really creative solutions to problems that are like medical mysteries. Yeah.
Dang. That's the name of this episode. Cranial torsion.
Cranial torsion.
Cranial torsions and 9/11.
Do you have it? Yeah. Put up on the 9/11 part.
Actually, I'm putting that in there too.
He's writing it down. No, man, that's a lot of cool information, man. It's crazy how the body's just an interesting thing.
It's the most complex thing ever.
And just how cranial torsion and 9/11.
That's going to get us.
Stupid.
Banned.
Yeah, it's just crazy how we can manipulate it and
train it to function differently.
Yeah. That's so cool, man.
People zoom in. This is like, we could probably like end on this. People zoom in on the problem area often too much. All right. So like if my advice to people listening, if you have like a painful knee or like a painful hip or like a painful like back, this is also where it's like very hard to like diagnose your own problem. That might be like a victim and not like the real issue. Okay. Like if you got, if you slipped and hit your knee and like exploded your kneecap, that's a local issue. Right. But if there's no like clear rhyme, if something just like slowly started happening like out of the blue and you've done your knee exercises and your hip exercises and your ankle exercises and your elbow exercises, and it's not getting better, or you have to do like a laundry list of things to just be able to like to get by, please come see me because there's probably something going on, and it's like because of the vast amount of frustration that I went through, like trying to like solve my own issue, right? You having someone who can like objectively help you make decisions that are useful for you just saves you time. It saves you time. It saves you frustration, right? If you've been doing the same thing over and over and over again, getting the same result, that's the actual definition of insanity. So let me help you get your sanity back, and let me help you get you back to doing like what you love, without having to go see the doctor, without having to get injections, without potentially having to have surgeries. I just sent someone for an injection the other day, and it was very useful. So I shouldn't say that, but
yeah.
Let me help you make better decisions for yourself, so you can get back to doing what you care about.
That's awesome. Hell yeah, man.
Dude, hell yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. Sorry if I talked too much.
Well, I mean, if you didn't, you wouldn't make a good podcast.
Yeah, no, you crushed it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so this is Dr. Colin Butler, Gilmar and Andrew, recording live from 86 West, the best restaurant in Doylestown, Bucks County, and possibly the world.